I'm really excited that there's so many people here. When my daughter and I drove up, I said, well, you know, there might be 10 people, there might be a few more than that, but this is delightful. And I'm privileged to be here sandwiched in between all of these ministers of the word and sacrament. So what I have to say, though, may be a little bit different. I didn't grow up as a Presbyterian. I'm not sure how many of you did. So really, the reasons that I stay and intend to stay in the U.S.A. are related to the reasons I came here in the first place. And they're intertwined, and so I'm really going to talk more about the reasons that I am a Presbyterian. I did grow up in a church environment. I was a United Methodist. And I just believe that it is biblical. It's biblically mandated to worship in a community as part of the body of Christ. And it holds us accountable in addition to being biblical, and it focuses us outward, and it counteracts that kind of natural desire to hang around only with those people who we're like and only those people who share our views. And I think that last point is really why I believe in staying in the Presbyterian Church, even though there are disagreements, and why I think the Presbyterian Church is such a great denomination to be a part of, because through the polity of the church, you're continually put in positions of having to work with people who may not share your exact views on politics, on social, all kinds of social issues, and really even on the church polity. You have to work those things out, and I think striving to do that is biblical, because I think the message of the gospel is we need to be in community working with each other so that we can love first God and then our neighbors. And the only way to do that is to put yourself in a position where you're with people that you need to strive with. So those same things are true today when I think about staying in the Presbyterian Church. The same reasons that brought me here will be what caused me to stay. And in addition to that, as both Joyce and Ken have noticed, I took a vow as an elder. And the part of the vow that resonates for me in this situation is that I vowed, covenanted, to work for the peace and unity of the church. And I don't believe that the work is done yet. I don't believe it's done on the fidelity and chastity issue. I think we're still in the process of discerning. And it's been a long labor over that. I mean, 33 years, even if that's the extent of it, even if you just look at that issue, that is a long labor. And it's a labor of love, and it's a labor that's pulling the church apart, I know. I don't believe that issue is central to the primary mission of the church. I think the primary mission of the church is to love God with all your heart, soul, and mind. Love your neighbor as yourself. Or as it says in Micah, it's to do justice, to love kindness, and walk humbly before God. Those are the central missions of the church, and until we focus on those missions, I don't think we should let a smaller issue about our church polity tear us apart. I do understand that there can be calls of conscience that outweigh the polity of the church and even the vow that people have taken. I just don't see this as an issue of that magnitude. And honestly, I mean, and I'll tell you now something about where my heart lies on this issue. I think people who are choosing to leave the church over that issue are choosing to leave over exclusion rather than inclusion. And I think we really need to think hard about that. Are we willing to leave the church so that other people can't be part of the full life of the church? Which is kind of the reverse image to me of what happened. I mean, if you look at the racial issue that was during the 1950s, to say to people of color, you should just wait and wait and wait and wait. At some point, obviously, the church, and probably the churches took too long to do it, needed to act and needed to make a decision on that. But that was a decision of whether to include people. And now we're looking at a decision of whether to exclude people from all of the things that go along with being a part of the denomination. And I think if it's a long struggle over that, I think we need to take the time to grapple with that and decide how that fits with the good news of the gospel. The other thing that I think as I look out tonight, and my daughter's here with me, we're losing a generation of people over this issue. If this issue is a difficult one for me, it's probably a difficult one for some of you. It's not a difficult issue for most young people. They just see this very differently. That doesn't mean that youth is always right, but it's a voice that we need to listen to, and we need to think about whether they are heralding in something that's new. And I don't mean to make up your minds for you about that issue, but I think the main thing I want to say is that we need to be grappling with it, and I think that that we're called to do that in a community. It's not an issue that's central to the mission of any individual congregation or the Presbyterian Church U.S.A. or the entire body of Christ, the Catholic Church, and we should be accountable to each other by continuing to work together on that. And that's why I would plan to stay in the denomination.